Alrighty, guys, so we're moving on to applications. And in case you're not familiar with application really means, it's just everybody's least favorite word problems. It's taking what we've learned and applying it to a situation. So most of these are just made up word problems, but they all have real world applications, and that's where this subject matter gets its name. But the long and short of it is they are just word problems. So it's going to be a little different than my last video. I'm going to be using this smart board or the smart notes technology. Just figure that's going to be a little bit easier than me writing every single problem and all that other fun stuff. So let me pull up my pens with blue. All right. So example one. Marta charges $3 for each bracelet she makes, plus 15 cents for each bead. Write an equation that could be used to find the number of beads X on a bracelet that sells for $7.80. Solve the equation to determine the number of beads on the bracelet. So, first thing you always do is read the problem in full like I just did. Now we're going to go back and just kind of underline some important information. So she charges $3 for each bracelet plus 15 cents for each bead. Write an equation that could be used to find the number of beads X, number of beads, on the bracelet that she sells for $7.80. Solve the equation to determine. So, now we have to ask ourselves, how can we write an equation? So, we know that she charges $3 for each bracelet plus 15 cents for each bead, and the total number of beads is X. This bracelet that we're trying to solve for costs $7.80. So let's start writing it down, right? As we read, it kind of reads like a math problem, right? She charges $3 plus, and you can do 0.00 if you want, plus 15 cents for each bead. And then how many total beads are there? Well, we don't know, right? And what do we say when we don't know? We put a variable. In this case, they told us it's going to be X. All right? So we have $3 plus 15, and then it's times X, right? So for each bead, so if there's one bead, it's 15 cents. If there's two beads, 30, 45, 60, so on and so forth. And then that is going to be equal to the cost of the total bracelet, which is given as $7.80. Alrighty, so I'll give you a minute to write that down. And now that we have that, it's as simple as solving for our variable x. So, go through our steps. We're already at get constants on the other side because we have our variable, everything's combined like terms, all that. So, we have to get rid of this plus 3. How do we do that? Well, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Sorry about this. I'm using a trackpad. Couldn't find my mouse. So minus $3. So our $3 over here cancel. We're left with 0.15x is equal. And then we do that subtraction, and we'll get $4.80. And to solve for x, we divide both sides by 0.15. Those cancel, and we get x equal 32. Over here, we'll put in 32. All right, so make sure in these problems you show all your work. You don't need to go through and underline. I just do that. Kind of helps me keep my ducks in a row to say. So this was number one. Go on to number two and give yourself a shot. So pause the video now. Give that a shot. Alrighty. Hopefully you gave number two a shot and you found that the total number of erasers was 12. So for number two, your answer should be 12. Alrighty, so let's move on to number three. This one's a little different, so we're going to do it together. So we have Paulette babysits to earn money. She charges $10 for the first 2 hours that she watches each child and $8 uh, each hour thereafter. Write an equation that can be used to find the total cost y in dollars to have Paulette babysit a child for X hours, where X is more than 2 hours. Use the equation to determine how many hours she would need to watch a child to earn $76. All right. So, we're going to go through and solve this equation, right? So, we have Paulette is a babysitter. She earns money. She charges $10 for the first 2 hours. Okay? That she has to watch, and then $8 for each extra hour. So how do we say that? Y is our total cost is equal to, and then it's $10 for the first 2 hours. Now, I don't really like how that's worded. It should say she charges $10 per hour for the first 2 hours. So it's actually going to be 2 times 10 for the first 2 hours, then plus, and it's $8 for each hour after the third or the second hour. But it's not just as simple as 8 times x, because if I were to say x is 3, that wouldn't be correct, because then I'd be double charging for the first 2 hours, okay? So how do we say in terms every hour more than 2 hours? Well, it's also saying 2 hours less than the total. And how we say that is x minus 2. Okay. So if we have 3 hours, for example, we would put in 3 for x. It'd be 3 minus 2 is 8, because only that third hour is being charged at $8 an hour. Right here are our first 2 hours being charged uh, at $10 an hour. So this would be our equation. And then we can simplify that equation, right? So we have y equals, then we have 20 times, or I'm sorry, 2 times 10 equals 20. Then plus, then we're going to distribute in our 8. So we get 8x minus 16. And combine like terms, and we get 8x plus 4. So this is how we would simplify that equation to represent every hour past, you know, 2 hours. So use the equation to determine how many hours she would need to work to earn $76. Well, we said that Y is the total number of dollars earned, so we just substitute 76 in for Y. 8x 4. Subtract 4 from both sides, we get 8x equals, then 76 minus 4 is going to be 72. And divide both sides by 8. And you get the total number of hours to be 9 hours. So that one was a little bit trickier, but hopefully you're able to see. Read in the prompt, she charges $10 for each of the first 2 hours, written right here, and then $8 for every hour after 2. So 2 less than the total number of hours watched. So 8 times the quantity, x minus 2. We then just distributed and simplified, plugged in 76 to solve the second part of our equation. So hopefully this one made sense, and go ahead now, give number 4 a shot, pause the video, and see how you do on that one. Alrighty, hopefully you gave number 4 a shot, and you found that the equation is going to be y equals 80 minus 4x, because it's 4 pieces of candy a day, so we're subtracting 4 for each day. And hopefully you found that uh, 10 days is the total number of days it would take to eat half the candy at that rate. So hopefully you're able to find those two answers. And let's move on to number 5. All right. So for number 5, we have Betty started volunteering at a cat shelter a few weeks ago. The shelter had quite a few cats when she started. The shelter is no longer accepting more cats. Each week, the same number of cats are adopted. The equation shown below represents the original number of cats and how many were adopted each week. The solution to Betty's equation is x equals 11. What does this solution represent? So, we have the number of cats that were in the shelter when Betty started, the number of cats that are currently in the shelter, the number of weeks since Betty has started volunteering, or how much it costs to adopt a cat. So let's break this down. We know that Betty works at a shelter and they no longer accept cats, but since she has started, the same number of cats each week have been adopted. Now we have this equation. 382 minus 17x is equal to 195. So, what do we think that represents? Well, if we go back to our candy problem from number 4, we can kind of piece it together, right? So Alex had 80 pieces of candy in total, and he was eating 4 a day, so minus 4x. And then y was how many pieces of candy he had. This is a very similar problem where 382 is the starting number of cats. So when she first started there was 382 minus 17x, where 17 cats have been adopted each week, and now is equal to 195, and that is the current number of cats. So when we subtract uh, 382 from both sides, divide by negative 17, we get x equals 11. And we said was starting number of cats. How many cats are being adopted? And then X is C, the number of weeks since Betty has started volunteering. And then 195 is how many cats there. So as we said, X is equal to C, the number of weeks since Betty has started volunteering. So hopefully this one made sense and you can kind of see how this whole application process is working. I want you to give number 6 a shot, so pause the video now, give it a shot, and see how you do. Alrighty, so hopefully you gave number 6 a shot, and uh, you had Trudy spend $18 at a bakery, spent $12 on a cake, and 75 on some donuts. The equation below shows what? And then what does X represent? Well, we have $18 is how much you spent. 12 is the cake. 75 cents is how much each donut costs. So therefore, X must be B, the number of donuts Trudy purchased. So that one was nice and easy. Hopefully this application has been pretty good for you guys. I know a lot of people get scared when they see word problems, they get all freaked out, but don't worry, just take your time, underline key information, and just kind of let the math you already know work through you and ask yourself what which problem type should I be applying to this situation. So this was the notes part. What I want you guys to do now is to continue on. Um, to, let's see, that was pages 24 and 25. So you should be able to start pages 26 and 27 and get those done before the end of class. Feel free to work with a partner, and then otherwise, whatever you don't get done, do for homework.